All right. Welcome to Bearcat Live, everyone. This is Rich Bearcat. Thank you for tuning in. So today we are talking about the Dangote's pre-IPO investing and if the billionaire investor and owner of Dangote Oil is distracted. So I personally don't think that people truly understand the magnitude of what Dangote is doing in Nigeria. I'm talking about as far as the oil refinery in Ibejuleki. Dangote company and the potential upcoming Dangote IPO that's rumored to launch in fourth quarter Q4 of 2026 are two companies and two stocks that I'm watching like a hawk. If you currently own property in the Bejuleki axis in Lagos State, do not sell that property. And if you are in a position to buy property, whether it's land, maybe a shop, a building in that Ibejuleki axis, I think you should 100% pick it up. Why am I saying this? Because that's where the headquarters is currently. Dangote Oil Refinery, that's where its headquarters. That's where it's headquartered. Dangote is currently valued, the oil refinery is currently valued at $20 billion. The billionaire himself is worth anywhere between 25 to 30 billion dollars. So I'm going to go over some data points here, guys. It's one of the things that they generally teach you in business. It's like business 101 is you have to know what you are investing in. You have to know the business or the people that you are buying into. In this current situation, I think the majority of the world is actually buying into Dangote himself. I mean, if Dangote wakes up tomorrow and says he wants to go to Mars, like Elon Musk is saying, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to follow him. It's the person that people generally buy into. He's been around for a while. And similar to the Elon Musks and the Bill Gates and the Warren Buffetts of the world, Dangote makes good quality products. It's one of the things that he does not compromise on. He makes great products. And at this point, with the Dangote oil refinery, finally it's open to the public. And started in 2026, people are saying it's rumored. People are saying it's a potential IPO. But I'm telling you guys, there's no rumor around it. There's no potential around it. This is going to happen. And where are you going to be? It's one of the most anticipated IPOs in the history of Africa. I mean, there's nothing else like it. A lot of people are looking forward to this IPO dropping in 2026. So are you prepared to capitalize on that drop? Are you prepared to purchase shares of Dangote when it's made public? Because if you think about it, there's no way around it. The company is just too big to serve as a privately held company. It's just too big. And it's a good thing. The IPO is going to happen. It's definitely going to happen in 2026. It may be sooner than Q4, but it's inevitable. It's just one of those things where you see the writing is on the wall. I plan on investing in Dangote oil. If you're wondering, I'm planning on buying some shares when it drops, and I'm actually preparing for that at the moment. Just watching it every single day. I'm trying to learn as much as I can about this company. So for people who don't know, like most people, when they think of refinery, they think of just like it starts and stops at the petrol station. There's actually 6,500 plus derivatives from oil, including kerosene, CNG, gas. There's just so many derivatives, like all derivatives. And the guy is positioned to literally go anywhere he wants. Right now, he's officially a net exporter of gas. You guys call it petrol there in Nigeria. We call it gas here in the United States. It's a net exporter of gas. Dangote exports refined fuel to the United States. He exports it to Brazil, to the UK, pretty much the entire sub-Saharan Africa. He's officially a net exporter of petrol. So I want to share with you some data on how monumental Dangote is. For those of you, I'm not talking about Dangote the man, I'm talking about Dangote oil refinery. For those of you who have not been paying attention, I think if you are interested in shaping your future, your investment dollars, majority of my clients and audiences are based in America. If you want to really grow the USD, start preparing and benchmarking for, if it's just nothing else that you do in 2026, my advice for you is to start preparing for it. Even if you're setting aside $1,000, $2,000, you know those remittances that go wasteful. You know how I feel about the Nigerian diaspora sending wasteful remittances back home. Some of you are paying rent for people. Start putting that money aside for your future. Because the funds is not going to invest itself. And throwing it into a savings account for those who have actually made that decision that they're going to start looking. They say self-interest is not selfishness. You've made that commitment to start looking after yourself and stop the wastefulness of caring for people back home who refuse to get a job. You can start putting that money aside. 600,000. I know someone the other day who told me that they spend 600,000 naira every 2 years. They've been paying rent for somebody for the past decade. That's 6 million naira right there. Convert that to US dollars. That's definitely good enough for you to start investing. If you're not planning on investing in Dangote stocks and Nigerian securities, you can put that money into US stocks and index funds. That money can go towards the S&P 500 through Fidelity. There's so many of them. There's Vanguard, there's Fidelity, there's tons and tons of brokerage companies you can look into. Start putting that money aside. You have that extra $1,000. If you are not confident currently in investing in Nigeria, a good start is in the United States where we are. I'm based here in Las Vegas. If you happen to be in the United States, you can start looking into securities. Open up a free brokerage account with companies like Fidelity. That's the brokerage company that I use to buy and hold onto stocks and index funds. Remember, we are not buying and we are not trading here. We are not day trading. I'm not a day trader. I'm a buy and hold kind of guy. You look at the way Nigerians back home or the way the diaspora looks at land banking, where you buy a piece of land for certain amounts and you hold on to it for 5 to 10 years. It's the same concept. But instead of physical real estate, like land, you are looking at stocks and index funds. I'm telling you, you can't go wrong. Where you go wrong are those who are watching and investing in meme stocks and they are waking up every day and they are trading, they are stock traders. Those are the ones that usually end up losing. But if you're going to invest in stocks and index funds, you want to look at legacy companies that have been around for more than 20 years. That's like my minimum. I don't touch anything that is less than 20 years old. Yes, some might argue that Dangote oil is less than 20 years old, but Dangote himself has been a Nigerian business institution for over 20 years. Yes, he left his role in Dangote Sugar and Dangote Cement to focus all of his attention on the refinery. So Dangote is considered a legacy brand for those who are interested in that. Right now, Dangote Cement is in the Nigerian stock exchange, available to be purchased. I think Dangote Sugar is also there as well. I don't own any of those stocks. I'm more of a BUA guy. Mine is BUA Foods. I'm very, very conservative when it comes to my market investment. Very, very conservative. But back to what I was saying. So let's start training our mind and training ourselves in becoming investors. We are fortunate to be able to play and work in both markets. You look at the United States market is the number one market in the world, the number one economy in the world. And then you look at where we are from, Nigeria is the number one economy in Africa. When you're able to merge both markets, you are well equipped to be able to impact and change your life in the future. Remittances do not compound, investments do. So let's look at some points here that I want to share with you guys. So currently, Dangote is the world's largest single train refinery. I'm talking about the world's largest single train refinery at 650,000 barrels per day. Dangote is bigger than any single train facility in the United States, Europe, or even Saudi Arabia. Like I mentioned earlier, the company is currently valued at $20 billion. That's the current valuation. Do you know how much I think that he's going to raise in that IPO when it drops? I honestly think Dangote might raise 100 billion, 150 billion dollars, to be quite honest with you. That is just my projection. It's what I think is going to happen. I can see it right now, 5x, or maybe even 10x in the current valuation. It's a good day to be a Nigerian, guys. I mean, this is the right time to not only be a Nigerian, but this is the right time to be a Nigerian investor. There's just so much good things happening. Can't you feel it in the air? Like I'm not saying ignore it altogether, but when you look at all of the distractions that's going on in Nigeria right now, just set that aside. Nigeria is actually a place that you want to invest in now. And if you don't feel comfortable going the stock market route, Remember, this stock, this Dangote IPO, is not a buy today, sell tomorrow investment. It's something you want to just look at it like a land, like you're doing land banking. Something you want to buy and hold for 10, 15 years. It's going to go up. Like there's no way it fails. You see, when a company gets to a point where it's too big to fail, Dangote is one of those. It's just too big to fail. I mean, when you look at the partnerships, the Honeywell partnerships, I mean, Honeywell is like a master refinery operator. They work with some of the top oil refineries on the planet. That's who Dangote has linked up with. Do they have other investors outside of Honeywell? Yes, they have other strategic investors outside of Honeywell. These are PhD level leaders that are running this operation, this company. And you just so happen to be a Nigerian citizen. You are in a great position right now. You are in a great position right now as a Nigerian citizen. Dust that passport up for those who haven't been home in years. You better dust that passport up right now. Go and get that sucker renewed and find a way to get back home. For business, I'm not talking about getting back home for Dirty December. You see, my crowd is not Dirty December crowd. My audience is not Dirty December audience. My audience are professionals, business people, entrepreneurs. Dirty December is for kids now. Dust up that passport immediately. Put everybody that you have been supporting in Nigeria right now, put them on notice. Put them on notice that water tap of money is about to be turned off. Anyone that is depending on you right now outside of your immediate family, by immediate family, I'm talking about your wife and kids or your husband and kids. Put them all on notice. Give them a deadline. The last day that money they come, December 31st. After that, from January 1st, you are on your own. You know why? Because Richard Barricade told me to tell you that, so I can start saving and preparing for my future. You see, when you start investing and you start seeing ROI, return on investment, it makes you want to invest more. It's just the way it is. Tell me how many of you that you have been supporting family members back home for the past 10, 15, 20 years. If you were to be incapacitated today, how many of them can you turn to bail you out? But you can turn to your investments. So enough is enough. Tell them that enough is enough. It's time for you to start looking after your own welfare. So for context, Dangote is the largest, for context, the largest refinery in the US, Motiva Port Arthur in Texas, processes about 630,000 barrels per day. But it is not a single train like Dangote. So, what is a single train or refinery? It's when the oil is processed in one single procession. That is a single train refinery. Like there's no breakage there. You don't have to split it. Everything is done in one full swoop. That is called. So Dangote currently is the largest single train refinery in the world. You know Aramco, everybody knows Aramco of Saudi Arabia. So Aramco's largest facility, Ras Tanura processes roughly 550,000 barrels per day, meaning Dangote surpasses Saudi Arabia's flagship plants in a key technical category. So currently, globally, only a handful of mega refineries, mainly in India and China, have total capacities above 700,000 barrels per day. And those rely on multiple processing trains. Remember, Dangote is a single processing train. There are other companies out there that are bigger than Dangote in terms of volume, but they use multiple processing trains. So that makes Dangote the largest single train refinery ever built. It's one of its kind, guys. There is none like it. So at full operation, Dangote Refinery is projected to meet 100% of Nigeria's gasoline demand, 100% of diesel demand, and generate significant export capacity for West Africa. It's actually doing this, actually beyond West Africa now. It's a global net exporter. So if if Nigeria stops importing fuel, it saves up to $17 billion annually in foreign exchange. That can actually go into our reserves. Right now, Nigeria's reserves are roughly $25 billion. So that shift, if it happens, Nigeria still imports though, because there has to be that free market. There have to be a free market in Nigeria. Just because Dangote is the largest oil refinery in the world doesn't mean that other small players can't import fuel into Nigeria. If they can find it cheaper, people need an alternative. They don't always have to buy Dangote's oil. Dangote, if that's the case, then he's a monopoly. No economy can thrive in a monopolistic environment. So people are still able to import fuel. If you can buy. But the issue with that is, are you going to be able to undercut Dangote and beat his price? So he's going to price aggressively, right? To deter others from importing. But people are still going to import fuel into Nigeria. So Dangote is not a be-all, end-all in the Nigerian oil space. So the refinery was designed to produce Euro V standard fuel, cleaner than what many US and Asian refineries currently distribute domestically. So if you live in the United States, you know that the United States has grade A top quality fuel. We all know that. But this report is saying that Dangote's fuel quality is actually higher than the US's fuel quality. It's actually cleaner as well. So his petrochemical outputs, polypropylene, positions Nigeria to compete with US Gulf Coast operators and Middle Eastern chemical giants, tapping into a $600+ billion global market. So if operating at scale, the refinery could emerge as Nigeria's Aramco equivalent refining hub, transforming Nigeria from an importer to a regional and global energy, to a regional energy supplier, not so much global. So, and now with the talk of the potential Dangote Refinery IPO, one of the biggest listings in African history, global investors are watching closely to see if Africa's largest private project will open its doors to public markets. We already know that's going to happen. So with all of this, as an investor, right, my worry, and that's the topic of this podcast today, is Dangote distracted And and this is just based on my own personal observation. Because these days it seems like Dangote is everywhere. Put aside my notes. So Dangote is everywhere right now. He's in Rwanda, he's in Kenya, he's in India. He's been on a world blitz or world tour lately, trying to save the world. He's turning into Captain Save Them All. He wants to solve the fuel issue in Nigeria single-handedly, even though there are other players out there. He has quite a bit going on. So from my own observation, my question is, and this is a general question, I think he's distracted. Do you think that Dangote is currently distracted? And when it comes to the petrochemicals alone, we are not just talking about Jet A fuel and PMS. Like I remember I talked about the 6,500 plus derivatives from oil. So he has his hands in a lot of things too. He's doing, in one way, even though he's no longer the chairman and the president of Dangote Cement, he's still in some way involved in Dangote Cement and Dangote Sugar. Well, some might say, well, Elon Musk, he's in Tesla and he kind of seems to be all over the place because with Tesla, you have Starlink. He also has the Boring company and he has a Neuralink company. He does have those, but he is generally tied to Tesla. Dangote is still, in a way, involved in the sugar and the fertilizer and the refiner and the sugar and the fertilizer and the food and all that. In a way, even though he's not the leader or the head, well, he's the leader and obviously he's the owner of these companies. But I'm talking about on a day-to-day basis. I personally think again, maybe it's just going on a media blitz to get as much eyeballs on him before the IPO drops next year. It could be a PR, public relations strategy to get more exposure. And the thing is, the more exposure that Dangote gets for himself, the more exposure that Nigeria gets as a whole, and the more interest. Because it's talking about this IPO. For those who know business and who know investments, you know that this is going to happen. So my major worry is, as an investor, I'm not, and also another thing too, another observation that I'm seeing is it kind of seems to me that Dangote is focused more on becoming the largest oil refinery by volume in the world as opposed to becoming the best. Becoming the largest doesn't make you the best. And it's virtually impossible to actually be both. You can't be the biggest and also becoming the best at the same time. I'm not really, when I see Dangote in the media trail platforming and going in all these panels, he's always talking about he wants to become the biggest refinery. Yes, we are going from, at least his goal right now by 2030 is to go from 650,000 barrels a day to 1.4 million barrels per day. Right now, that goal is far-fetched because the largest company by volume, the largest refinery by volume is an oil refinery in India, and they're currently doing 1.2 million barrels per day. But does that make them the best? Does that make them better than Aramco? That's doing just 550,000 barrels per day. Or the United States oil refiner refinery in Port Arthur, Texas, that's doing about 550 to 600 barrels per day. Are those companies better than the one in India that has twice the volume? Is becoming the biggest the focus now? Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's something going on that we are not, that the general public is not privy to. It could be. But big doesn't always mean the best. I'm not saying that Dangote is not capable. I mean, with the linkage and the partnership with uh, uh, Honeywell, Dangote has solid teams behind him. He has good people with him. What is the why the infatuation with being with becoming the largest at 1.4 billion barrels, sorry, 1.4 million barrels per day? Why the focus on that? What's really the draw? So, okay, somebody has to become the biggest. That's Someone has to be number one, right? But somebody also has to become the best. But to me, it seems like the driver, the main, and that is why I'm asking that question. Like, man, when I see that infatuation with just becoming the biggest, we got to be the biggest. You are already the biggest single train refinery right now in the world. He's already the biggest, not by volume, because there's an Indian company that's bigger than him by volume, but they are a multi-train operation. Dangote is a single train operation. So he's already the biggest in that capacity. So you want to become the biggest single train refinery in the world, and also the biggest refinery in the world by volume. Where does becoming the best fit in all of this? Because all of these companies, these oil companies, they are all looking for the best talents. They are poaching talents from each other. See, that's where I feel that Dangote is going to be at a disadvantage. Because if you're an oil engineer and you have three opportunities, one is to go to Saudi Aramco, the other is to go to Motiva in Port Arthur, one of the biggest refineries in the US, and the third is to go to Dangote Oil in Nigeria. Which one would you pick? Everything equal, equal compensation, equal benefits, equal opportunity. Out of that three, Saudi Aramco, Motiva in Port Arthur, Texas, and Dangote Refinery, which one do you think talent will go to? See, that's where I feel that Dangote will have a disadvantage. That's where I think he's going to have it. And that is why I feel like becoming the best is going to be secondary to him. Because if the core focus right now is in becoming the largest, where does becoming the best fit in all of this? So remember, investors, they don't care about size. We care about margins. I couldn't care less if Dangote Oil becomes the biggest refinery in the world. What I care about is that my investment is growing. And the thing that happens, especially in the I don't know how Nigeria handles this, but in the United States, a company becomes so big that eventually the government intervenes and breaks up that company. Because the bigger you are, there's more bottleneck. Things tend to be lost in the shuffle. When you are big, you are bloated. That was what happened with Standard Oil. You guys remember Standard Oil? When you look at BP oil, came from that. Because Standard Oil was just too big that the United States government stepped in and broke it off into smaller companies. ExxonMobil came out of that situation. Becoming too big is not sustainable, Mr. Dangote. Becoming the biggest oil refinery by volume. Because as humans, our own thing is once you hit that 1.4 million barrels per day, you are going to want to hit 1.5. You're going to want to hit 1.6. Eventually, you're going to want to do 2 million barrels per day. For what? You cannot be the world's only net exporter of oil. You are competing. Yes, Dangote is exporting right now from Nigeria, but he also has to compete with the Aramcos and the other refineries in the world. It's not as if the world just sits back and just buys Dangote oil. So maybe there's something I'm missing, but I just feel like I would like to see. I know in some ways it talks about it. It talks about the quality of Dangote oil, which, by the way, some people may disagree with that because there's been some sort of like research done that Dangote's petrol may not be the quality that he's telling everybody it is. But Dangote himself stands by the quality of his products. So that's why I feel like becoming big puts you at a disadvantage because you are slower in decision making compared to other smaller companies that are more nimble and flexible and fluid. You are also facing the challenge of the climate that you are in. Dangote is in Nigeria. The Nigerian system is not as enabling as the American system or the Saudi system. So those are disadvantages that Dangote faces in being able to recruit and sustain key talents. He may be the biggest. If that's his goal, it kind of seems, I can't take anything away at this point. That is his goal. He, by any means necessary, wants to become the largest single train refinery in the world. He deserves to be. He's earned it. The man owns 92% of the company right now. The other 7% is owned by NNPC. Sorry, my math is wrong. The other 8% is owned by NNPC. And the way NNPC is right now, they can't hold their own end of the bargain. Eventually Dangote is just going to buy them out and give those shares and let other multinational companies pick up those shares from NNPC. I don't see NNPC entirely getting out of that ownership though. It would be stupid for them to. If anything, they should be holding on to the 8% that they have right now with their life. If you're projecting raising $100 billion to $200 billion when you during the IPO, why would you want to give up? But you have to remember, NMPC started at 11%, and now they've dropped down to 8%. But to wrap this up, guys, every day I wake up, I'm proud to be a Nigerian. Yes, I have that green passport that you guys are afraid of. I'm proud to be a Nigerian. And again, maybe I'll create a playlist just for my Dangote topics. Because this company And this potential IPO that's dropping next year is something that's going to be in my portfolio forever. So let's see what happens. He's doing a lot. He's doing good things. I think a lot of Nigerians are behind our own version of Elon Musk. 30 billion. So he's nowhere near Elon Musk in terms of wealth. But you know what? We'll take it. And for those of you who are sleeping on Nigeria, listen, US Nigeria investing platform, that's what we are about. Invest. Start your US Nigeria investing journey with me. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We also have a Telegram group. I encourage you to join that Telegram group. And hit the notification bell when you subscribe to us, and then that way when I drop content, it's you get it in your inbox. CJ, welcome. Measures. Yo. Dangote wants to be a world player, but he already is, CJ. He already is. You see, at the beginning, I said this. He's already the world's largest single train refinery, 650,000 barrels per day. He's already a world player. By every measure of being an oil refinery, Dangote is considered a world player. He can compete with any oil refinery in the world. But he seems to be hell-bent. He seems to be hell-bent on becoming the largest by volume. Because the largest by volume right now is an oil refinery in India. They are doing 1.2 million barrels a day, but they are a multiple train processing refinery, not a single. So I don't really know why he wants to become why he wants to beat the 1.2 to be 1.4. Again, remember, these refineries are not going to run themselves. They need people behind the automation. They need people behind the decision making. They need people behind the global partnerships. I'm just saying that where Dangote is going to be at a disadvantage is recruiting and sustaining talent. That's the only way I feel, because you are not going to want to pay engineers less than what Aramco is paying. And then if push comes to shove, let's say it's just a matter of, okay, if money is the decider, let's say as an oil engineer, I'm offered $500,000 a year to come and work for Dangote. And I'm offered $500,000 a year to go and work for Saudi Aramco. And I'm offered $500,000 a year to go and work for Motiva in Port Arthur in the US. And then the final decision has to do with compensation. Do you think Dangote can outbid Saudi Aramco and Motiva in the US? If it just came down to that candidate, it's like, you know what, I need more money. More than likely, Saudi may bid more than Motiva. But the advantage that Motiva has is the United States environment, that person may be willing to take a little bit less money to go to the US instead of Saudi Arabia. Because, in the US, we have our lifestyle, we have our culture, it's more liberal. Whereas Saudi can be a little bit strict. So I think dollar to dollar, opportunity to opportunity, most people are going to choose the United States oil refinery before they choose Dangote and Saudi Aramco. But taking nothing away from Dangote, he's already a world player in the States. He's already a world player in oil. He's a world player in fertilizer exports. He's actually the largest currently of fertilizer, largest net exporter of fertilizer in Nigeria right now. Dangote is. He probably wants to be the largest and the best, but he cannot be the largest and the best. It's impossible. You can only be one or the other. Name one company, CJ, that you know is the largest and the best. They don't really exist like that. He can't be the largest. He can. I will probably give Dangote the largest if he wants to go that route. Because remember, these other refineries have been around for many, 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 many years. Dangote technically has not even been in operation for 3 years straight. Didn't he just officially cut the ribbon like last year? So Dangote hasn't been tested. Think about it for a second. He hasn't really been tested. So, do you want to then hedge all? Again, still invest in Dangote, though. I'm not saying don't. But he has not been tested like the other companies that I've mentioned that have been around for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So that's why he can be the biggest. If he wants to be the biggest in volume, fine, so be it. But in terms of becoming the best oil refinery, I'm not saying he can't be, but if he's optimizing for the best, I would, me personally, I would take that any day than him optimizing to become the biggest. You understand what I mean? I'm talking about the best in quality, the best in efficiencies, the best in packaging, the best all across the board. I would take that any day over size. Do you think I want to walk around as a shareholder of Dangote Oil Refinery telling people, hey man, I'm a shareholder of the largest oil refinery in the world? That doesn't get me excited. I want to be able to walk around and say, hey, I'm a shareholder of the best refinery in the world. I'm talking about as a shareholder. Because I am going to link being the best with how my stocks and how my shares are performing at the company. Why would I say otherwise? If my shares are not performing, then I can't really generally call him the best because my shares are not. But if they are, I can walk around proudly to say I own a piece of the best. Or guys, let me tell you, una they live, una no don't understand this thing. It be like saying I don't understand. I don't want to put in him. I don't want to talk broken. But I'm telling you, you want to be a shareholder of a fortune company. It's a different kind of investment. Not going around and buying Omonile land and dragging with tenants. Still have that as part of your portfolio. I'm not saying don't. But real estate is stressful. Real estate is stressful. Still own a piece, but I wouldn't make that my primary holding. It's in holding and owning shares of fortune companies like the Dangotes of the world, like the Walmart. You see, when you invest in the S&P 500 index funds, you hold a piece of the top US companies, the Googles, the Nvidias, the Johnson and Johnsons. That's where it is. But still, though, add real estate into your portfolio. No, nothing wrong with that. And another thing too, guys, start a business in Nigeria. Just because you're abroad doesn't mean you can't own a business. Just start an LLC. Start a business in Nigeria, even if you don't use that business. Name it whatever you want to name it. Doing business as whatever you want to do business as. That business can even be your holding company that manages your your positions, your portfolio in Nigeria. Just start a business and register it with the CAC. The reason why I'm saying that is now that's going to start giving you an incentive to visit home. But if you're sitting abroad trying to invest back home without having, I call it planting your flag, you need it. And the best way to do that is just go and open up a business name. They are not that expensive. And then once you've established the business name, open a business bank account and just leave it. Open a Naira business bank account. That's all you need. You don't even need a dollar account. If you want, you can do that. But me, I don't use my business dollar account. I don't even know why I opened it. Because it has served me. There's really no need for it. But I still have it, though. It's dormant. The majority of my activities are done in my Barakat Naira account. You see, slowly by slowly, and I'm talking to people who just want to reintegrate back into the Nigerian society. Slowly by slowly, once you have opened up your business name, remember, it's not like I'm not saying go and open up an office, just register a business name and open a bank account under that business name and just chill. There's an energy to that because it's going to start calling you home. Come on, grow this business. Come and build this business. Come and develop this business. So you need that link between you and between yourself abroad and also in Nigeria. And it starts with just opening that business account. Perhaps you use that business account to buy your investments. So instead of buying your land in your name, you buy your land under your business's name. You understand what I mean? And before you know what's happening, your business has owned properties. Your business owns properties in Nigeria. Oh yes, I have a holding company. We we invest in land, we invest in manufacturing, we invest in logistics. Whatever you can think of and imagine and dream of. So for me, I do a combination of both. I buy assets under Rich and Barakat, and I also buy assets under Barakat Ventures. So you kind of keep both under either your personal name. Me, if I had to do it all over again, I would just buy assets under my business name. Because there are more incentives owning assets under your business name than there are in your personal name. Because you can write off depreciations, you can write off maintenance, you can write off upkeep, you can write off so many things if that asset is purchased under your business name. Like my car that I sent to Nigeria. Before I sent it to Nigeria, I converted it to Barricade Ventures ownership. And then when I registered my car in Nigeria, it's not registered under Richard and Barricade, it's registered under Barricade Ventures Nigeria Limited. So you look at my car registration right now, the owner is in Barricade Ventures Nigeria Limited. And then I'm the principal. So everything, my car wise in Nigeria is under Barricade Ventures Nigeria Limited, meaning my company owns that car. That's another thing too, guys. If you are sending something to Nigeria, like a vehicle or machinery and all of that, try and convert that ownership to a business name first. And then you are obviously you are the owner, you serve as the principal primary owner, but it's your company that owns that vehicle. So then that way, at the end of the year, like for me, when I shipped my car to Nigeria, I wrote off the expenses that was deducted from our profits. So there's a benefit in doing everything under a business name as opposed to your personal name. Okay, is there no external body that measures fuel quality? So I mean, I don't know. As far as Dangote has though the engineers internally though within Dangote Oil that measures fuel quality. But that's actually one of the issues too in the past where people were saying that then that Dangote's fuel is not up to par. That doesn't meet it. That it doesn't meet the minimum standard of fuel in Nigeria. But then those guys were not able to go through their own laboratory, and they were only banking on what the engineers of Dangote's lab is saying. And Dangote's pushback to them was, okay, if you're going to say that my fuel is not of high quality, then why don't you go ahead and do your own lab testings? So, and those guys were not able to do it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think that there's any external independent body in Nigeria that measures fuel quality. I know Dangote has his was internal. What about Canadians? What about Canadians specifically? I know I spoke a lot there, so I don't know under which context is that question. So why do I say distracted? I just say distracted because he seems to be all over the map. He's talking about he wants to become the largest and the biggest and the best in sub-Saharan Africa. He's working with Rwanda. He wants to go and save Rwandans. He's working with the Kenyans. He wants to go and save the Kenyans. That is what I mean by just being too distracted, as in it's just over the place. It's all over the place. Is what I mean. Like I said, I don't see the focus that I'm looking for, and also in terms of just being the best as well. It's like I don't see that focus. Like I generally don't see him driving. I want to be the best. He's always talking about he wants to become the biggest. So to me, I kind of feel like he's taking his eyes off the ball and he's focusing on the wrong thing. But like I mentioned earlier, maybe there's just something there that I'm not seeing and something there that the world is not privy to. But I will bet on Dangote any day. I know that Dangote is a good operator. You know what I mean? I'm following the brand, the person. That is who I'm hedging my investments on, is on Dangote himself. Like if Dangote does anything today, I'm going to follow because it has a proven track record on delivering profitable companies. And also, Dangote played by the rules. And maybe that's why he's still around when everybody else has fallen off. He is anti-graft. He doesn't do bribing. He doesn't do any of that, at least from what he said, you know. And I believe him because everything that happens in the darkness comes into light in one way or another. The only thing that people have ever accused Dangote of is blocking the importation of cement. But the true story behind that, and even Obasanjo, remember all of this happened. Dangote's ascent to billionaire status actually started under the Obasanjo regime. So when people were complaining that he had monopoly and he was blocking importations of cement into the country, that is not entirely true. What happened with that was that Dangote was saying, and this was Obasanjo even confirmed this. You guys can go on YouTube and search Obasanjo on the start of Dangote cement or something like that. What Dangote was saying is you can, so the as far as like the policy was you can import cement into the country so long as you also manufacture cement locally. That was what all that was about. The problem is the majority of the people that were complaining about the importation block, they just did not have the capacity to be able to manufacture cement locally. And it wasn't as if Dangote started his cement company from scratch. He bought a state-owned cement plant that was performing horribly. Then Dangote bought that. That was where he started developing his own cement. But he was still importing though. But the agreement was you can import as long as you also produce locally. And a lot of Nigerian importers at that time were just unable to do that. That was what skyrocketed Dangote to where he is today. And then he brought his boy along, Bua Rabiu. That's Dangote's boy. I'm not saying Dangote made him, but they're in the same cement space together. It's like whatever Dangote does, Bua follows. Like you can see in this case, with Dangote oil refinery in the Lekki, Bua has its own happening in the Akwa Ibom state where I'm from. His is much lower than Dangote's output, though. Dangote is what 650,000 barrels a day. Bua is about 250, 200 barrels a day. But Bua tends to just follow, so Dangote food, Bua food, Dangote cement, Bua cement, Dangote oil refinery, Bua oil refinery. Those are the only two major players in Nigeria. You know what I mean? Always better to be the best than the largest. I 100% agree with that. Top 5 businesses to start in Nigeria now. Canadians, you said start USA Nigeria investment with you. Canadians can also join. CJ, let me tell you something. For you, again, I don't know what your goals are, but have you thought about Akwa Ibom State? It's an enabling environment. If you thought about that, we're trying to get more people into Akwa Ibom State too. I have this idea of buying a huge hectare of land and then splitting it up and just sort of like making it into an estate. And then splitting it up and selling obviously it has to be mapped and there has to be a master plan around it. But that's my goal. It's just to buy a minimum of like 1 hectare. And then split up that 1 hectare into 500 square meter land and selling them piece by piece to others. That's where I want people to come in on that investment with me in Akwa Ibom State. I'm interested in anything that is trustworthy and development focused. Then I think you and I let's hop on a call one day, CJ, and talk. Like I'm trying to form like this consortium of investors abroad that we can get into something that's safe. Like I'm telling you guys, I get hit up all the time with land opportunities in Akwa Ibom State. All the time, people are trying to sell land, but I'm very, very disciplined in what I do. Like for me, I don't like doing anything. If I'm going to invest that kind of money on land, I have to go to Nigeria and see the place. So to me, it's like, okay, you got this opportunity. Okay, whatever. Okay, I hear you. But I go take my Kodokoro I see and first. I can't for the life of me, put my reputation at risk by just randomly buying things. I'm going to Nigeria here very soon. In the next couple of months, I'll be in Nigeria. So these opportunities that's been floating in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, I have to go and see with my two eyes first before I even start reaching out to others. But if we can pipeline people who are interested in land, we can do something like that, pick up a 1 hectare land and divvy it up and just sell them piece by piece. That's usually how you get into like estate development. And if you want to develop your own plot, you can, or you can sell your own plot. Top 5 businesses to start in Nigeria right now. Number 1, a coaching training business. This is directed at Nigerians in the diaspora. Majority of you are skilled in certain disciplines. So you look at your discipline. Is your discipline in healthcare? Is your discipline in education? Is your discipline? I'm telling you, sell what you know. You can sell what you know, because people in Nigeria right now are actually they are buying people's minds now. What do you know? What do you know? What are you plugged into that I can learn from? So you want to get into a training, some sort of like a training or a consultancy where you can coach people on a certain area that you know. Whether if you are a real estate agent in Nigeria, you could do that. Start a YouTube channel and you do what I'm doing. I'm on live. I prefer live because I can interact with people. I don't like recording. Like when I record, I have to sit there and look at myself. It's interesting because I'm always like more self-conscious when I record than when I just go live. I hit that live button and then whatever happens, happens. You guys have seen me, I've flirbed, I've said certain things that don't really connect sometimes, but they eventually end up connecting later on. I'm just more of a live kind of person. Plus, I get to do like a live Q&A with people too. I answer their questions in real time. So I prefer more of a live thing. But if you, a good business that is not capital intensive would be a coaching training business, to where you are selling what you know. So I have a client currently, like I've said this before in the past, they are in the confection space. They've been in the confection ice cream. This person used to own a cafe in Italy. They've been in that confection space for over 30 years. They are taking that knowledge and they are starting a consultancy in Nigeria where they go and then they put up classes and workshops, and then they charge a certain amount to train restaurateurs and people who are interested in confection manufacturing, like ice cream and all of that. They just literally they fly into Nigeria, they do the workshop, and then they fly back to Italy. So that's one business that you can. So that's business number 1 in terms of like top 5 businesses. You want to start a training, coaching consultancy. That's number 1. Number 2, this is more investment based. That would be investing in land banking. And for those who don't really understand the way stocks work, you want to, but that is more capital intensive because you have to come up with the amount or the money to be able to buy a piece of land. Let's say $1,000 or $2,000. You're not going to get a land for that much in a choice location, though. You're going to get more of something that's like inland, okay, for like 1,200, 2,000, and then you hold on to that land for like 5 years. That's usually like the minimum that I advise people. Just hold on to that for like 5 years. Or number 3, you can get into investing in securities if you don't want to do land banking. See, these are safe, relatively low capital intensive businesses that you can do. So the third one is you can invest in, like I do, securities, stocks, and index funds. Similar to land banking, but this one is just a lot stressful. It is not as stressful as land because everything that you do with stocks is You can do it through your app and through a brokerage company. You can literally, like for me, the other day, I just literally sat down and in 2 minutes, I purchased $1,000 worth of shares here in the United States. So that's also a way for you to get into the Nigerian investment space. So you, number one is open a consultancy where you're advising people, and then you can use a platform like YouTube, Instagram for those. I'm more of a YouTube guy. I don't really like Instagram and Facebook. I'm more of a video guy. And then you just start coaching people. And then when people find value in what you're doing, they're going to want to reach out to you to see if you can work with them on a one-to-one basis. Is what I do too. I work with people on a one-to-one basis that need more of like a deep dive into what they can do in Nigeria. So you have the coaching business, you have the real estate land banking business. Then you also have like the stock investment business. Number four. Wow, 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 wow. What else would I say invest in? I will not do a restaurant. Don't think of that. Oh, a good one is exports. This is where you go to Nigeria or you have someone in Nigeria go and source products for you. But the thing about exports is you only want to buy what you know and what you can sell comfortably. Okay, so we are in that space as well. We manufacture, we process food stuff in Nigeria and other commodities, and we bring them into the United States. So that one too, for you can start with like $500 to $1,000 because you also have to factor in shipping. So let's say you go out there. I know someone that's doing that business right now in Cyprus. They specialize in this gili, this women's Yoruba women's adire outfits is what they specialize in. So they work with a tailor in Nigeria that sews the outfit for them, and then they ship it to them via DHL to Cyprus, and they sell and repeat the process. So you can get into consumer goods, you can get into spices. There are platforms out there that you can resell them on to US consumers. Amazon is a great platform, the number one e-commerce platform right now in the world. You can sell on Amazon, you can sell on Walmart, you can sell on eBay. So that's another business you can get into. The sourcing, procuring, manufacturing, exporting, and selling of everyday consumer goods. You can get into that. So another business is also being a broker. That's actually how I started. When I was like 22, 23, I was a broker's agent. I work with both buyers and sellers. So I'll find someone that's looking for a certain thing. I'll reach out to them and I'll tell them, hey, you know what? I can help you find that product. And then I'll look for the buyer or the seller. So I was pretty much a broker linking buyers and sellers in certain commodities. And then I get paid a commission from that. But always look at like service-based businesses. They have a very low barrier to entry, and it does not involve as much capital to get started. If you have an internet connection, you have a cell phone, you can literally become a consultant today. You can connect both markets, US, Nigeria. You can work with real estate. There's so many things out there. There are real estate agents right now in Nigeria, or even development companies in Nigeria. If you're into real estate, as an example, you can reach out to them and say, hey, you know what? I'm based abroad. I'm based in the US, UK, Canada. I want to be a registered and international agent for you. I'm gonna help find buyers from abroad because a lot of these expensive condos that they are selling in Nigeria in places like Lagos and Abuja, most of those buyers are actually based abroad. So you're already abroad. You're already in that system. You know what people abroad want. You can just start linking with developers in Nigeria, get on as one of their agents. But the problem with Nigerian commission, though, is like 2.5% is the most that they are paying, from my understanding. If it's changed, please let me know. but I know like 2.5% is the most, whereas in the United States, it's 6%. So the agent on the buyer side gets 3%, the agent on the seller side gets 3%. So I suppose 2.5% is not that bad. So those are the things that you can definitely look into. But then there are other businesses too that's more, it's more of a high capital intensive business, and that's like machinery. So that's the very, that is always a very tough question to answer, because it kind of depends on where you are as far as like your financial capacity and also what you like to do as well. So it's kind of hard to answer like the top 5 um businesses to start in Nigeria right now. But for more of like a capital, if you have the capital, you can go into construction machinery. If you can get a payloader, it doesn't have to be a huge, humongous payloader. It can just be a regular random payloader. You can send that to Nigeria. You know, people right now in Nigeria are charging 250,000 naira a day to lease a payloader for those in the construction space. So your top 5 is going to depend on the sector that you are in. And like I said at the beginning of this session, you always want to get involved in an area that you know. Build your business around a sector that you know and understand. Invest in sectors that you know and understand. Okay, the same thing applies. Okay. Okay, I want to be the biggest everything. You can be, but you can't be the best though. I'm interested in anything. We already answered that. Sounds good. That is why I wanted the panel. Excellent. So we learn banking. I worry about dealing with squatters. Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna have squatters in terms of like people cultivating on your land, but there's a way around that though. You can buy a land and actually lease the land out to people to farm on that land. But you got to make sure that you have an ironclad agreement. Don't do anything by handshake in Nigeria. Don't do anything by talk in Nigeria. Anything that you do in Nigeria, when it relates to your properties, especially land you want to lease out to, you want to have everything in writing. And you also want to have a timeline on when they are in and when they are getting out. You want to avoid, by all means, any gray area. So if you are in a situation like that, where you want to lease your land to somebody to farm, make sure that they 100% understand what they are getting into. This is the start date. This is the end date. Have some clause in there. If you want your land back, let's say they have another 6 months to go on that lease, and you want your land back because you want to develop it, put that clause in there. That clause also has to stipulate that you are going to pay them the cost of their crop. Otherwise, they just let them ride out the terms of their agreement. You want to have an ironclad written clause. If you want your land, hey man, 6 months from now, I know that this agreement, 6 months from now, just let them know in advance by writing that you intend on taking possession of your land. And then that way they know that that is the last time that they'll cultivate on that land. Okay. So as far as like land squatters, I wouldn't worry so much about it. Usually what happens with those sort of people is they'll just go. It's happened to me before. They'll just literally, because you are not there, they'll start cultivating on your land. In a way, it's okay, but it's not. If they are just cultivating, let's say someone is just a little area that they are cultivating pepper. You understand what I mean? And it takes about 6 months for pepper to be harvested. And they're able to pull that harvest before you get there. I suppose that's okay. When they start building an irrigation system on your land, And this happens a lot with like absentee owners. And that is why, guys, if you are going to buy land in Nigeria, in any state in Nigeria, always make sure that you have an assistant or somebody that you can hire, even if that person, you are hiring them on a quarterly basis. Every 3 months, you deploy them. Go and take a picture. Go. You see, those guys are going to be beneficial to you because you can catch anything within 3 months. You can catch a small problem within 3 months before it becomes a big problem. Usually, a lot of Nigerians abroad, they get in trouble when they are absentee landowners. See, my land in Nigeria, all my properties in Nigeria, I have a manager that checks on my properties every quarter. Every quarter, in some cases, even maybe once every 2 months. And all they do is they'll go, they'll take a picture, they'll talk to the people in the community, they'll make sure that there's no abnormal things happening on the land. And when the people in that area see that someone comes here regularly, they are not going to squat, they are not going to do anything. But when you disappear for 5, 10 years, that's usually where the problem starts, because the people will say, this guy hasn't been around. Before you know what's happening, they start cultivating. Before you know what's happening, they'll dig up and start building irrigation systems around your land. You know what I mean? So you can own land from abroad, but just make sure that you have somebody professional. Please don't use your brother and sister. Don't use your mommy and daddy. Don't use your friend. Hire somebody you can fire. You understand what I mean? Hire somebody that you can fire, that you can sleep at night once you fire them. So there are professionals out there right now that actually work with Nigerians abroad to check up on their properties. You understand? So that's something you also have to look into. Like if you're working with an agent, see, the agents, they'll know people like that. You know what I mean? They'll know people like that. And sometimes even the agent might even offer, that's another way that they make additional income. They can offer to manage your property for you. It's called the property management agent. If your agent does not offer that, if you're buying a land through an agent, if they don't offer that, ask them if they will be willing to serve as a property management agent for you, because they're already familiar with that land. And then you can just put them on a retainer, a quarterly retainer, or even a yearly retainer. And in that way, every 3 months, they have a client list, a pipeline of clients that every 3 months is their job to go document, take pictures. Actually, that's another line of business, particularly for those who are based in Nigeria. Start marketing yourself if you're in a real estate space as a property management consultant, agent, professional. You work with Nigerians in the diaspora to manage their properties for them. I'm telling you, if you are in the right area, like in Lagos State, you should have no issue. Because most people now are starting to wisen up. They don't leave their properties to people anymore. When they leave, they lock up, they take their key and they go back abroad. Or they find somebody to help them post their property on Airbnb and manage it for them. So you can become like an agent like that, working specifically and only with clients in the diaspora. And it's not even limited to just Lagos. You can do this in Abuja, you can do this in Port Harcourt, you can do this in Akwa Ibom State. Because the Nigerians abroad are always looking for trusted sources in Nigeria. People that they can send out to go and shop for them. It happens. Before you know what's happening, you have it. All you got to do is make one person happy. Solve one problem. People will start referring you and recommending you to others. And before you know what's happening, you can run a food procurement business where every you got to look at the way I see like subscription or like Amazon. There are certain things on Amazon that I subscribe to that I get every, let's say, every 3 months or every 4 months or every 6 months because I use them up all the time. You can put something like that, put your clients in more of a, like a subscription basis. So every 6 months or so, they'll reach out to you. Hey, I need Pepe, I need Gary, I need Maggie. What I need all of this stuff. Then you become that person that helps consolidate food stuff to different clients across the United States. That's another line of business you can get into that does not require a lot of capital. All you need is a smartphone and internet connection and be a good communicator. If you're a good communicator in Nigeria and you are available and you respond timely, and you are professional in your responses, and when you reply to clients, you are not going to lack clients. If you have strong communication skills and you know business and you know social media, you know technology, and if I send you to go and take a picture of my land, you don't do a sideways picture. Or if I say you don't do a sideways video, you actually show me a clean, clear, and you'll be surprised. Some of these videos that they'll send you, you'll be bending your neck just to see what they sent. How hard is it to turn and take either a portrait video or a sideways video? You know what I mean? Like, it's not that hard. But sometimes these people, they'll just point and then you are turning your neck. And it's like they see exactly what they are shooting, but they send it to you. You know what I mean? So with land banking, okay, we talked about the squatters. Would you focus on other states? Example, Abia versus Lagos. So I was born in Lagos. I know Lagos very, very well. I don't know Abia. Personally, I would not invest in states that I don't know. You see, guys, we are all from somewhere in Nigeria. We may be born in Lagos, but our family is from Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Abia. And some of you have never been to your indigenous state. You see, me, I have. I was fortunate, even though back then I hated it. I did 2 years of boarding school in a village in Akwa Ibom State. Hated it back then. But when I look at it now, it actually helped because it helped me understand the state. And I'm connected to two major states in Nigeria. I'm connected to Akwa Ibom State and I'm connected to Lagos. So those are the only two states that I would put my investments. I'm not going anywhere that I don't know. I'm not going to Abuja. I'm not going to Rivers. I'm not going to Abia. I'm not. There are opportunities in the states that I know. There's more than enough opportunities in Akwa Ibom. Akwa Ibom alone. There are no Wi-Fi cafes. Could you not go set up a high-speed Starlink operation, open up a little area? Yes, people are going to say, well, Yahoo boys are going to come there, but you get my point. There's a lot of content creation going on right now. You could create a content creation hub for YouTubers and vloggers to go in and edit their videos and publish their videos for a fee. If you are in the film industry, you can open a film production company and teach, Nigeria with Nollywood, and teach Nigerians how to properly write, frame, and shoot content. You can take an editing system and teach Nigerians how to edit clips. Even that Wi-Fi creative hub, that is a great opportunity because we don't have it in Akwa Ibom State. I don't know, they may have it in Lagos, but we don't have it in Akwa Ibom State. You can have a little cafe there. People come and they'll buy tea or they buy coffee or they buy pastries like donuts and akara. And before you know what's happening, you brand it. You open a little gift shop inside there. I'm talking to people abroad. Even if you are just sending American made products, you give people that international feel when they walk into your establishment. There's an opportunity for that. Training people how to shoot movies, training people how to write a screenplay. There's so much. Then why am I going to go knowing all of these opportunities that's available in Akwa Ibom State? Oh, do you know that there is not a single uh professional photography studio in Akwa Ibom State right now? When I went to Nigeria last year, I was interviewed by a publication. I'm not going to say the name of the publication. So they sent me to the location to go and sit with them and do the interview. It was a video interview. We got there, I did the video interview, and the person was like, I mean, that place was a joke. And the publisher was like, this is the best we've got in the entire state of Akwa Ibom. I'm like, if this is the best that you have in the entire state of Akwa Ibom, we're in trouble. This is a photo video studio. It was a joke. They didn't have generator. The camera that they were using was the camera from like 30 years ago. So the opportunities are there, but the problem is you got to go home. There is no amount of content you're going to consume online that can ever substitute you being on ground in Nigeria to see what is going on and to see how you can participate. But you got to go home. Go where you know, though. Don't go to Niger State. Don't go to Borno. Don't go to Zamfara. Go where you know. Start from there. Start talking to people. As a matter of fact, start talking to people from the US side. Most of the connections that I have in Nigeria is just through me just being social. Obviously, I respect people's boundaries and I protect my own boundaries. But just when you see that person sitting next to you, strike a conversation. How's it going? You don't want anything from them. Just like that, that person next to you that you are thinking you are better than can give you good information that can change your life. You know what I mean? So it's all about connections and all about contact and all, but you got to go to Nigeria. Hunker down. You got to go to Nigeria. You can't do it just remotely from abroad. You got to reconnect with the Nigerian system. If you truly want to make your investments work, you got to go back home. Okay. All right. Do you use any CCTV in Nigeria that you use in Vegas? No. So in Las Vegas, we use Ring. And then in Nigeria, the CCTV that I use on my property in Uyo is let me pull up the app. It's called U-Box. That's the app that I use. So the app is different from the hardware though. I've had my CCTV now for 2.5, 3 years, no issue. I can literally open up my app right now. Then I can show this. It's loading. So this is I don't know if you guys can see. So this is you see at the top there it says Embarrassment Residence. So that's my CCTV. And that is like the cattle, my cow that I moved to. He's the one grazing my compound. So I can guide it easily. See the camera. Let me show you guys. You see the camera moving? You see, let me move it the other way. You see, that's my land let me move. That's my property, my construction site in Akwa Ibom. This is in real time, guys. Let me move it a little to the yeah. So this is what I use. And the cool thing about this CCTV is you can set it up to where you have like activity detection. You can turn it on or off. You also have device alarm. You can turn it on or off all through the app. So I used to get a lot of like movement, like my cattle will be moving up. I just said, okay, let me just turn off the activity detection, and I turn off the what do you call it? The activity detection and the alarm. So every other day, like a week doesn't go by where I don't check. It's like almost like it's muscle memory. Like I just, okay, my property, let me just go ahead and check my app to see what's happening. And you can control it in real time. I can also speak through the microphone on the CCTV camera through here. If I see anything, I mean, the compound is safe. Nobody goes in there. But I can communicate to people from the United States in real time, and then they can talk back to me in real time. Yeah, so get if you have some sort of construction going on in Nigeria or a property going on in Nigeria, consider installing CCTV camera. Do you invest in rights? I do not. I don't really believe in those. You know, I just rather just team up with somebody. I don't want to be an absentee. I would rather just have my money in stocks instead of doing the RITs. Okay. All right, 136 guys. Thank you guys for watching. Tomorrow's I have not decided yet on tomorrow's topic, but I'm also going to be taking live Q&A in tomorrow's podcast. Same time, 12 p.m. Pacific time, USA, 9 p.m. Nigeria. Probably going to talk about US Nigeria investing with Rich and Barricat, and just whatever happens with that. So for those who are interested in investing in Nigeria, actually that's going to be tomorrow's topic. US Nigeria investing with Rich and Barricat. So if you have any questions on investing in Nigeria, starting a business, registering a business, you want ideas, we're going to talk about problems, we're going to talk about challenges. I'm going to share some of my stories with you guys. I'm going to share some of my wins and losses, how I'm able to navigate things in Nigeria, how I hire my team, the way that I see investments in Nigeria, where investments in Nigeria is going for the future, how diasporas can get involved in their own little way in investing in Nigeria. The objective here is to get Nigerians out of that rut of remittances. $20 billion gets sent home every year from Nigerians in the diaspora. 75% of that they will never ever see an ROI on. They will never ever see an ROI on. So you can imagine only about 25% of remittances are actually going into things that people can actually fall back on. Because here's what's going to happen, guys. You are going to get old one day. You are going to get old one day. But I hope that you have the option to be able to live wherever you want. If you want to spend 6 months in Nigeria, you do it. If you want to go back to Canada and spend 6 months CJ, you can do it. US, you can do it. So that's it. So tomorrow's topic is going to be US Nigeria investing with Rich and Barricat Q&A. If you guys bring your questions, let's have a conversation. 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Nigeria. I'm going to go ahead and post that later on today when I'm gonna get out of here and go and do things. It was Kate's birthday yesterday. She turned 39. Oh, actually today, see my wife. So it's my wife's birthday today, December 9th. I'm just gonna cook her some ogbono soup. She likes ogbono. I'm gonna cook her ogbono soup tonight for her birthday. All right. So guys, I will see you guys tomorrow. CJ, as always, Canada, Nigeria. We can talk about Canada, Nigeria as well. I don't know much about Canada though. Like I said, I have a friend that she likes ogbono, of course. Now, you know, she likes ogbono and we use swordfish. She likes ogbono swordfish, and then the girls don't eat the swordfish. Though the girls will eat the chicken. But that's their own thing. Is once I throw ogbono down like that, I gotta put fresh chicken inside, and they like swallow. Kids, where the sisu, she's like swallow. Pass me, self. But her favorite, so in addition to ogbono, she also likes afang soup. I cook a lot of afang soup as well. But then Kate is vicious with jollof. She will make jollof, take it to school because she's an educator. She teaches high school math. All our kids will finish the jollof rice. So she has her own way of like adding nice spices and recipes to our jollof rice. But when it comes to jollof in this house, Kate is the one that handles it. I deal mostly with the swallow, like the ogbono and the afang soup, and sometimes even the egusi soup self. I'm surgical with my Niger cooking. I throw egusi in there. I've tried a ditan okra. If I don't feel like stressing myself, I just want small. I just put small. You see, this took me back to my boarding school days, where you just boil water, put pepper, put okra inside, put crayfish inside, put maggi inside, put small dried fish inside, turn them, boil gari, turn gari. That was it. So if I don't feel like doing too much food wise, I'll do a little bit of draw soup, okra soup. But my go-to, like what doesn't stress me at all is between ogbono and draw. Sorry, between ogbono and okra. Afang takes about an hour to cook, depending if I add oporoko, if I add stockfish. Because you know, Niger stockfish is very athletic, very, very strong. So you gotta cook that thing for about an hour. And then pomo too. I love pomo. There's a Nigerian market here in Kechi that I go to in Vegas. That's where I buy my pomo from. I think I may even have some pomo in the fridge that I haven't used in a while. So you should see my freezer. It's just full of meat, protein. Are you full of? But yeah, that's what I'm gonna do tonight. I'm gonna go and then I'm gonna prep and make sure she has a nice ogbono soup for later. All right. CJ, talk to you guys later. I'll catch you guys tomorrow's show. All right. Bye bye.